Now, I do this show from Dallas, and if you listen from around the country or other countries listen to this show, you may not know that even in the great state of Texas, which everyone thinks is really conservative, we have the city of Austin, which is their slogan, not kidding, is keep Austin weird. They love that. Austin's a very liberal city, a liberal jurisdiction within the great state of Texas. We have a few more of them, but Austin's a big one. So Austin City Council passed an ordinance that, let me back up and say, the city council in Austin had people come and present to the city council their concerns on behalf of the homeless, and basically saying, we don't have enough places for the homeless to sleep at night. So you, city council, you need to pass an ordinance letting them sleep anywhere they want in the city. Just let them sleep on sidewalks, let them sleep anywhere they want. The city council, in an ever elitist attitude, passed an ordinance saying, well, yeah, pretty much homeless people can sleep anywhere they want, except, of course, not on City Hall property and not in public parks, areas that the city, are responsible to keep clean. So we have now in the city of Austin, it's legal for people to sleep on the sidewalks. If you're listening from California, or especially if you're listening from San Francisco, you might be thinking, hey, yeah, it's happening here too. It is true. It's true in San Francisco. That has become, not only can you sleep on the streets, but you can relieve yourself. You can do anything you want on the streets in San Francisco. All of this indulgence of the homeless population, and literally making it more and more difficult for tourists and citizens to walk the streets safely. One little thing I decided not to put it up on the screen because this is off of Facebook, but a woman who lives in Austin was talking about, you can see a picture of her house. She gets home, there's a homeless person sleeping on the sidewalk in front of her house. Very house next door, and these are like row houses connected, very house next door has a for sale sign in front of it. Imagine trying to sell your house and people coming to see it with someone on the sidewalk. So she called the city. Question: people are sleeping on the sidewalk in front of my residence. This is concerning to my family. Can't y'all do something about that? Answer: no. The new obstruction/camping ordinances allow camping on sideways, alleyways, and other public spaces, except parks and City Hall, which includes in front of your house, provided the people camping are not making the sidewalk unreasonably inconvenient or hazardous. You can always call 911 and ask for an officer to come by and see if a better outcome can be reached. She goes on and on. But the point is, she called the city and they said, can't do a thing about it. So I want to just, on this city council thing, I want to tie in something about this, and this goes back to kind of founding idea of America and how we govern, how we think about America. When the city of Austin was faced, and they may have a significant homeless problem, I don't know the specifics, but when they were faced with the people, the advocates for the homeless, coming to city council and saying, you got to give them more places to sleep, they got to be able to sleep anywhere, and there were not, probably, frankly, the homeowners in Austin had no idea the city council might be thinking of passing this. So they're not hearing any other voices. And so the city council says, well, okay, as long as they don't do it near us and near our city hall, somewhere else, fine with us. So it was the height of poor work, poor engagement by the city council in Austin in really thinking through the consequences of their policies. Just thinking about the people, the loudest protesters, and not what's good for the city, and what's good for tourism, and what's good for homeowners, what's good for property values. But the deeper thought about that is this: homelessness is not an inherent characteristic. Homelessness should not be treated by the government in just a blanket rule about anything. There are all sorts of reasons that lead to homelessness, and instead of dealing with the kinds of things that probably lead to homeless, such as drug addiction, unemployment, not sufficient skills to be able to get a job, to get hired, mental health problems, those are the things where maybe if you're a city council faced with a big homeless problem, you say, we got to focus on these ways to improve the homeless population, help reduce the homeless population. But when you just say, go ahead, sprawl out in the city, you're all over the city, you're agreeing that these people have no remedy in front of them, they must be treated as perpetually homeless, perpetually helpless, have no inherent human dignity, no way to move forward, no way that your services could help. Now, I'll be clear, I'm sure Austin offers services for people who have addiction to drugs or alcohol, and they probably say they have something going with respect to trying to help them find jobs, and they probably even have some services related to people who have mental health challenges. But the answer to surrender to the homeless mindset and say, well, you're homeless, go ahead and sleep out, is surrendering to the decline of our culture, our civility, our whole, the city of Austin, our whole culture. It's why people are lamenting San Francisco and leaving San Francisco. So, and the city of Austin, you know, I go back to this founding idea about America. The idea of America was that every person has the right to live in this country and pursue their version of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The individual freedom idea, live in freedom, is paired with individual responsibility. That's the idea of freedom in America. Personal responsibility and personal freedom. All the city of Austin's saying is, freedom, we can't fix anything, and they don't even want to turn and talk to the people in the city about and try to help the homeless population to say maybe you can find another choice. I'm going to throw in one last point, and then I got to go to my why it matters to you. But I wanted to remind you about in the state of Maine just a few years ago, the state of Maine decided that they were going to put in a work requirement for people who were collecting food stamps, for able-bodied people collecting food stamps. But if they wanted to continue to collect food stamps, they had to work, and it was some minimal amount, whatever it was, 10 or 12 hours a week. And if you couldn't find a job, you could work for the city. You could clean parks, you could something like that. People who were able-bodied and wanted to continue collecting food stamps had to work. It was Maine's welfare reform idea. So within 1 year, the able-bodied citizens who got off food stamps found a rise in their average income on an average of 114%. They had thousands and thousands of people drop off of food stamps because they weren't willing to work, meaning that they didn't need food stamps. And the idea of treating people with, we believe in you, we believe in your ability to contribute, we believe in your ability to begin to make the path toward employment. Maine proves some of that, treating people who are recipients of food stamps with the idea, we believe in you and your potential for personal responsibility and moving forward in life. And that is something the Austin City Council ought to keep in mind.